There is a war being fought right now in women's basketball. No shots fired, no crowds watching, no highlights on ESPN. Just two sides sitting across a table arguing over what the future of the WNBA is actually worth. On one side, the players, women who have dedicated their lives to a sport that spent decades asking them to be grateful just for existing. Women who have watched their league grow faster than anyone predicted. Women who believe for the first time that they have the leverage to demand something real. On the other side, the league. Owners who see the numbers, who understand the risk, who are not yet convinced that what they are seeing is a foundation and not just a moment. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement negotiations have reached a breaking point. The players proposed a salary cap of just under $9.5 million, with 25% revenue sharing. The league came back with $5.65 million and 15%. The gap between those two numbers is not just financial, it is philosophical. It is a fundamental disagreement about what this league is and what it is becoming. And caught in the middle of all of it is the sport's biggest name, a player who did not ask to carry this weight, but carries it anyway, Caitlin Clark. The frustrations spilled onto social media almost immediately. Fans, never short of opinions, took to X to make their feelings known, and the reactions were as divided as the negotiating table itself. Some sided with the league. One fan wrote that WNBA attendance and viewership are driven primarily by a single player. Another pointed out bluntly that the league's total profits split among all players would amount to exactly $0. Others went deeper. One observer noted that owners see the risk clearly, that two players, Caitlin Clark chief among them, drive the majority of gate revenue, that locking into a long-term deal before others prove their market value feels like a gamble the league is not willing to take. And that is the uncomfortable truth sitting at the center of these negotiations. The WNBA's growth is real, but it is also concentrated. One player changed the ratings. One player changed the arenas. One player made casual sports fans stop and pay attention. That is an extraordinary thing, but it also creates an extraordinary problem. Because how do you build a collective agreement around a league where the collective and the individual are so dramatically unequal in what they bring to the table? That is the question nobody has a clean answer to. Cameron Brink stood up and said what many players were feeling but struggling to put into words. The Los Angeles Sparks forward did not talk about salary caps or revenue percentages. She talked about something older and heavier than any contract clause. She said that as women, players are made to feel bad for wanting more, for advocating for themselves, for knowing their worth and saying so out loud. That sentence carries a history longer than any CBA negotiation. For years, WNBA players were told to be grateful for a league that existed at all, grateful for the opportunity to play professionally in their own country, grateful that anyone was watching. That era is over. The league that exists today is not the league that asked for gratitude. It is a league with sold-out arenas, record television ratings, and a global conversation happening around it every single day. The players built that, not alone and not without help, but they built it. And now, with the 2026 season approaching and a deadline bearing down, they are asking for something in return. Not charity, not sympathy, just fairness. Here is what these negotiations are really about. Not the numbers on a spreadsheet, not the gap between $9.5 million and $5.65 million, not the difference between 25% and 15% revenue sharing. It is about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be when this moment passes. Because moments do pass. Stars retire, rosters change. The player who is filling arenas today will not play forever. What the WNBA does right now in these negotiations will determine whether this league built something lasting or simply rode a wave. If the league invests in its players, improves its facilities, raises its salaries, and shares its revenue fairly, it signals to the next generation of athletes that women's basketball is a destination worth choosing. If it does not, that generation may choose differently. Caitlin Clark did not create this fight.
Her existence accelerated it. Her arrival proved what was possible, and now everyone in that negotiating room has to reckon with what comes after her. The greatest gift she gave this league was not the highlights or the ratings or the sold-out crowds. It was the urgency, the undeniable, unavoidable proof that women's basketball can be something enormous. Now the league has to decide if it is ready to treat it that way.